Greetings everyone, this is Kevin Sue, and with me are the developers behind the Slay the Spire Hermit mod, AlexMdle and PureQuestion. Thank you both for joining me.
Glad to be here.
So why don't you go ahead and show me a bit about the Hermit?
Right, well, let's get into the run then. It's our lovely
That's
character art.
one of the two things that I did not draw. We actually commissioned a guy, Calclips. He's
Yes.
pretty good. He's pretty good at this.
Mhm.
And yeah, you start with that one relic memento. It's a bit controversial. It kind of makes curses not damage you.
Yes, but it gives you a curse, so it adds this brick to your deck. So here we have Covet, which lets you exhaust a card to draw a card, and if it's a curse, you get to draw another card. So that's something to deal with that brick you started with. So we're going to show that off quickly. And that shows us the other main mechanic, which is Dead On, which is one of the other core main mechanics of the class, which is cards that do something extra if you manage to get them in the middle of your hand. This card becomes free, which is very strong. And we're going to get rid of this guy.
Initially, it used to be called Bullseye, which is a really good and sleek name, until we found out that there's already a card with that name.
And then we see another one of the themes of the class, which is cards that care about strikes and defense. So here we have Showdown, which lets you rapid fire all of the strikes in your hand. And I'm actually going to pick that up because it's a really fun card. I also could have gone for Ghostly Presence, which is another dead-on card that gives you some scaling and is very nice. And Coalescence, which is sort of a dexterity flex, dex flex. And is also very good with that self-debuff deck Alex mentioned, because it does debuff you twice even. Once when it gives you the effect that makes you lose dex, and once when it actually removes your dex. This is one of the important cards for that self-debuff deck Alex mentioned, where you can actually take debuffs off yourself, and that's very good with Coalescence, because I mean you get to keep one of those dexterity points. And similarly, this card, Snipe, works the same way, and you'd actually get to keep Strength if you use that and then cast Virtue.
So I want to go back and talk about Dead On. So I found this to be a very fascinating feature because it's all about card selection order, right? You need to get it in the center of your hand. And I find that to be a very interesting mechanic. How did you guys think of something like that?
Do we want to tell him, Alex?
Well, a lot of mechanics in Hermit can be prefixed with definitely not. Like for example, Bruise is definitely not poison. Rugged is definitely not barrier, and Dead On is definitely not outcast.
Yeah. So Dead On is sort of heavily inspired by actually it is the opposite of a mechanic that was recently added to Hearthstone when they added the Demon Hunter class earlier this year. That class has a core mechanic where cards get a bonus if they're on the far outside of your hand. I will say though that this class was the effect of the way I'm tripping over myself. Dead On was designed because it's sort of supposed to fulfill that like sharpshooting idea, like you're aiming perfectly, the card's in the center. That's why it was originally called Bullseye.
You see, Slay the Spire doesn't actually care about card order. We had to hard code the team actually. However, whenever you retain cards from any external source, you can order them in whatever way you like.
So let's say normally you're playing a game of Slay the Spire. So you do this, and you get to pick a card. Now, when you put this card, it goes back to that side, which actually means you can completely reorder your hand.
Oh my gosh.
Which ruins Dead On. I had to basically spend 3 hours tearing apart the code that does that.
For a project like this, do you guys create a sort of outline or major expansive plan? You know, covering your walls, that sort of thing.
Oh God, no.
Well, you say that, but like every card was written down before we programmed anything.
Yeah, I know. That's I was about to say, like I can't really do something like that. I find planning on that scale to be very restrictive. I have had, I do have a design document already. It's basically just a list of all the cards.
So one of the questions that people have always asked in regards to the mods is the Hermit balanced?
We've tried.
I think you said it best, Alex, when you said some people think it's underpowered and some people think it's overpowered, so it's probably pretty good.
It's really good when people are being controversial about your mod, because if everyone says it's underpowered, then it's probably underpowered. If it's the other way around, then it's the other way around. But if nobody can agree, then it's probably good. We didn't really know what numbers are appropriate at first. So
Yeah,
just
you just kind of try to compare to cards in the base game.
Yeah, exactly.
Look for similar effects.
What kind of feedback have you guys gotten from players of the mod?
People really like the mod. It's definitely like we're very lucky to have, a good artist and somebody who does sound design. So like most mods don't get to have unique character models, especially animated ones, and like full high quality card art. You see a lot of people who just all the card art is MS Paint drawings or recolors of existing art,
which is not to devalue that. It can be true.
Yeah, but like you get to draw a lot of eyes by having this. It's definitely like I feel like I'm kind of bragging saying this is the person making the mod, but like
you are.
I'm not the one who drew this art, so I get to say Alex draws really good art.
And then to follow up on that, Alex, what is how did you come up? I mean, with each card, there is more than 70 cards in the Hermit, correct?
There's a full 75.
8.
Oh, I guess 70. Yeah, 75 cards.
Technically 80, but then we discarded 2.
So it must be really tricky to just come up with artwork for every single card, and not to mention that I saw that you had the beta artwork already beforehand.
But you see, I cheated.
Oh.
Because most of the time I just had the game's wiki open and just looked at the card art from the base game to get an idea of how I should draw these cards. So I had a guideline. And the beta art actually, nobody cares about the quality of the beta art, so that doesn't matter. You can just draw anything. And in fact, we have.
And
so
we were sort of like the base game does. A lot of the beta art was like other people drew it.
Yeah, we just gathered some friends, some people we knew, and they just contributed.
My favorite beta art.
Gun.
It feels fairly appropriate to have a gunslinger character, and you can't see their face, and they're just like wearing those rags. It just was kind of lucky that it fit the game's design, the game's base design as well as it did.
A bit of a mystery.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
I mean, if you think about it, like all the characters in Slay the Spire are fairly mysterious. There isn't much that explains their backstory or anything. It's all fairly vague. So trying to give the character you have like a defined backstory or lore is it feels a little bit counterproductive.
So there's no fan fiction I can go and read about this?
Unfortunately, no.
Not yet, anyway, right?
No. And if I have a say, so probably never.
I don't know if you have a say.
Everything came together, and the Hermit is fantastic. The animation is smooth here. I mean, just look at it.
Oh, yes, animation. It's also a funny thing because that also just I have never done any kind of animation like this in my life before. Basically, had to learn how to do it. At first, the character didn't have any animations at all, and kind of did have one, but I didn't understand what meshes are or what they are for. So the fabric wasn't moving or anything. And then eventually, some people in modding, again, have given me like a link to some guy showing a tutorial on how to do that. And after that, everything was smooth sailing. The best way to learn something is to try a large project. Like every time, even if you fail, you'll learn something new.
All right, so you wanted to ask about our game.
Yeah, why don't you tell me a bit about that?
And the Hermit
fun.
is an enemy from that game. That's about it, really.
So this game is called Monolith.
Oh,
So this game is also a roguelike, but instead of being a deck building game, it is a bullet hell shooter. And there's the Hermit. Oh, hey, Alex, continuity break. In the
Huh?
store, he doesn't have a scarf.
I know.
Immersion ruined.
Yeah, Alex, are you gonna fix that?
Nah.
I don't want this guy to catch cheating. So this is a game where you run around a dungeon, and you fight enemies, and you shoot them with bullets. And everything up until that last part, in fact, everything including that last part, does apply to Slay the Spire if you're playing as the Hermit.
Oh,
The,
good. There's a curse.
Yeah.
Now it's 100% like Slay the Spire.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there you
It's a
go.
curse.
See, Slay the Spire fans, you'll feel right at home here in Monolith.
It's procedurally generated, and there are curses.
Is it tough being an indie game developer?
Yes.
It has its upsides and downsides.
Why don't you tell me a bit
found-
about them?
I found
Okay.
a secret.
Well, the upside is you get to do what you want, basically.
The downside is you may or may not make money doing that.
Yes.
So what
Yeah.
are your plans moving forward?
Well, we have an update planned for this game that will be coming out in a few months, hopefully, and then a second, much larger expansion.
And as for Hermit, probably just waiting for the translations right now and a few things to fix.
Yep.
Well then, I want to go ahead and thank you, PureQuestion, Alex, for the interview. I appreciate you guys sharing all of this with us about Monolith and, of course, the Hermit. And I wish you both the best of luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure speaking with you, Kevin.